A flower does not chase the bee. It stands in silence, in full bloom, and the world comes to it. You do not need to run after what is meant to return. You do not need to beg, plead, or convince, because if there is still something alive between you and her, it does not need noise. It needs transformation. And if you understand this deeply and act from that stillness, she will come back. Not out of pity, but because your energy now speaks louder than your past. One of the biggest mistakes people make after a breakup is reacting from emotion instead of responding with awareness. When you lose someone important, your mind enters a state of panic. You begin to overthink, replay conversations, wonder what went wrong, and look for quick ways to fix things. In that state, you start to chase calling, texting, explaining, apologizing excessively. But these actions, while emotionally understandable, come from fear, not power. And that energy pushes people further away. What she feels during that time is not your love, it's your desperation. She senses the imbalance, the need for validation, the urgency to pull her back. And it doesn't bring her closer. It confirms that you've lost control not just of the relationship, but of yourself. To shift this, you must stop reacting. You must create space to reflect, not on her, not on how to win her back, but on yourself. What energy were you operating from when the relationship began? What wounds did you bring into it? Where were you not aligned with your truth? These are the questions that matter. When you choose reflection over reaction, everything begins to settle. Your thoughts become clearer. Your emotions soften. And most importantly, your energy begins to calm. This calmness is not silence for the sake of being cold. It's silence that holds wisdom. It says, I am learning. I am growing. I am not chasing, you are free. And from that space, something powerful happens. She begins to feel the shift not through words, but through the absence of the old patterns. She notices that the version of you who panicked is gone. And in his place stands someone still, centered, and strong. That presence speaks louder than 1,000 messages. And it draws her attention back, naturally and powerfully. If she walked away, it's because the version of you that existed at that time no longer aligned with her feelings, her growth, or her expectations. It's a painful truth, but also a powerful opportunity. Because the version of you that lost her doesn't have to be the version that moves forward. You are not fixed. You are not frozen in time. You can evolve. And when you truly commit to becoming the man you were always capable of being, not for her, but for yourself, everything begins to shift. This transformation doesn't happen through words. It's not about posting that you've changed or trying to prove anything. Real growth is quiet. It's built in the small moments when you choose discipline over distraction, purpose over comfort, and awareness over reaction. It's how you carry yourself when no one is watching. It's the mindset you build when you stop trying to fix the past and start creating a stronger present. When a woman senses that the man she once knew has evolved, not just changed his behavior, but elevated his mindset and emotional presence, her perception begins to shift. She may not show it right away, but she notices. Because this new version of you no longer chases, he no longer begs. He doesn't need her to come back to feel whole. He has become whole on his own. That wholeness is magnetic. It carries a different energy, one that is confident, calm, and unwavering. And when she feels that shift, she's not just reminded of you, she's introduced to someone new. Someone she may never have truly seen before. And that man is the one she will begin to think about long after silence has settled. Because growth, when it is real, always speaks, even when you don't. Many people enter relationships carrying wounds they've never addressed. They hope that love will fix what's broken, that affection will soothe old pain, and that being with someone will finally make them feel whole. but no one can heal what you refuse to face. When you place the weight of your unhealed past on someone else's shoulders, the relationship slowly begins to crack. Love becomes burdened by silent expectations, and connection begins to fade under the pressure of emotional need. This is why so many relationships end not with betrayal or conflict, but with emotional exhaustion. She may have cared deeply, but if she felt she was carrying your unspoken pain, she eventually reached her limit. You may not have meant to rely on her for healing, but when you haven't dealt with your own emotional wounds, it shows up in subtle ways: insecurity, jealousy, fear of abandonment, or constant reassurance seeking to truly shift this. You must turn inward. Sit with your pain instead of running from it. Ask yourself what part of you still feels unloved, unseen, or unsafe. Then begin the slow, honest work of healing it through solitude, discipline, self-reflection, and, if needed, guidance. This is not weakness. This is strength. When you do this, your energy changes. You stop trying to be saved. You become grounded. Your presence becomes lighter, clearer, and more peaceful. And whether she's watching or not, people feel that shift. She will feel it. The man she once walked away from begins to dissolve, and in his place stands someone emotionally whole. That's the version of you who doesn't need her to come back, but who might inspire her to, simply because you've healed what you once hoped she would. And that healing creates a magnetic, undeniable strength. When something ends, the natural impulse is to hold on, to reach out, to explain, to try and fix what's been broken. But that very energy of clinging becomes the reason it stays broken. Desperation, even when it comes from love, feels heavy. It pushes instead of pulls. It suffocates instead of inspires. And it tells the other person, I don't trust thee. Silence. But silence, when used with intention, is one of the most powerful forces you can harness. Pulling back your energy completely does not mean being cold or manipulative. It means surrendering control. It means saying, I trust the space. I trust what's real. And in that space, something important happens. She begins to feel your absence, not just your physical absence, but the emotional weight you used to carry into her life. When you stop chasing, when you stop trying to remind her of your value, you create a vacuum. That silence speaks louder than any message could. It allows her to sit with her own feelings without interference. She may begin to remember what she felt with you. She may start to notice what's missing, not because you told her, but because she felt it on her own. Energy is felt. It's sensed. When you're no longer trying to be noticed, your absence becomes its own kind of presence. She starts to realize that the version of you who once chased is gone, and in its place is someone who respects himself deeply enough to let go, to stand still, and to wait without waiting. This kind of silence is not weak. It's deeply powerful, because it says, I am no longer here out of fear. I am here in strength, and if you come back, it will not be to the man you left, but to the man I have become. Emotions are powerful, but they're not always reliable guides. In the aftermath of losing someone, emotions scream for action. Send a message. Show you care, do something. But emotion alone often leads to impulsive choices that don't serve your long-term peace or growth. That's why the shift from emotion to purpose is so essential. It's not about ignoring how you feel. It's about choosing not to be controlled by it. Purpose gives you direction when emotions try to pull you backward. It anchors you. It reminds you that your life is bigger than one relationship, one moment, or one heartbreak. When you focus on purpose, whether it's building your health, refining your discipline, mastering a craft, or creating a meaningful life, you begin to move forward with clarity. Your actions no longer come from reaction. They come from intention. And when you live with intention, your energy changes. You no longer radiate neediness. You begin to radiate certainty. You're no longer trying to prove your worth, you're living in it. That shift is magnetic. People can feel when a man is focused, when he's no longer seeking validation but aligned with a higher direction. If she watches you now, she doesn't see the man stuck in regret. She sees the man rising in silence. And that image stays with her quietly, powerfully. Not because you tried to get her attention, but because your energy demanded it without a word. This is why purpose is so effective. Not because it wins someone back, but because it transforms you. And in that transformation, you stop needing her to return. But if she does, it's not because you chased her. It's because you created something so strong within yourself that she couldn't ignore it. That is the kind of man people return to. When she returns, it's easy to let pride take the lead, to want to ask why she left, what took her so long, or to prove that you were right all along. But if you've truly grown, those things no longer matter, because real transformation brings with it a quiet confidence. It doesn't seek revenge, recognition, or control. It simply allows what is meant to return without ego. Without bitterness. Welcoming her back is not about surrendering your self-respect. It's about showing that the pain didn't harden you, it refined you. You're no longer the man who needs to be validated by her return. You're the man who became whole, even in her absence. And now that she's back, it's not because you demanded it, but because your presence called her, without force. Letting her return without ego means you don't hold her past decisions against her. You don't punish her for the silence or the distance. Instead, you meet her with presence, with grounded awareness. You let her see that your peace wasn't dependent on her, but that she is still welcome. If she aligns with the man you've become, this is the deepest form of strength. To receive without needing, to listen without reacting, and to open your heart again without fear. Not because you forget what happened, but because you've grown beyond needing to control it. In that space, something powerful happens. She doesn't see the same man she once left. She sees someone transformed, someone rooted in purpose, healing, and truth. And in that moment, she doesn't feel guilt. She feels respect. She feels safe. Because nothing is more attractive, more magnetic than a man who can forgive, who can rise, and who no longer needs to prove anything at all. You don't need magic words. You don't need tricks. You don't need her to come back. You only need to become the man who no longer waits, but rises, heals, and returns to himself. And when you become that man, she won't just remember you, she will feel you. In her thoughts, in her silence, in the quiet place where hearts don't lie. And if her soul still carries your name, she will come back. 100%. Not because you chased her, but because you finally stopped.